Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. It's Alysia here, and I'm very excited to be with you for our weekly Global Online Fireside Chat. Today I'm broadcasting from the UK once again, and the summer weather has been sensational with Wimbledon fever in the air. For those of you who don't know, Wimbledon is the world's oldest tennis tournament and a firm British institution. Once again, today we have an amazing session planned for you. We have a panel of brilliant entrepreneurs joining us from across the globe, logging in to help you understand impact investing and its effect on social entrepreneurship. Living in these incredibly evolutionary times, investing with a conscience has become more and more important, with money not always being the end goal. My apologies, everyone. There seems to be huge technical difficulties facing us today. We are dealing with them. Regarding our subject today, we're going to be discussing, is social entrepreneurship the future? Does it need to be self-sustaining? And where is the mix between doing good and being able to do good for a profit fit into the global entrepreneurship ecosystem? Now I've got you all excited. Let me go ahead and introduce you to our VIP guests before asking them to properly introduce themselves to you. Welcome to Silicon Valley-based Chloe Mustagi, who's a social and organizational change maker, thought leader, entrepreneur, and global traveler. Welcome to New Delhi, India-based Harshit Gupta, who's an engineer, social entrepreneur, and women's rights activist. Welcome to Nevada, USA-based Eduardo Jackson, who's an entrepreneur, author, social media specialist, poker player, and Bitcoin enthusiast. Welcome to India-based Pradeep Mukherjee, who's an entrepreneur and management consultant. And welcome to one of our very own champions, Nigeria-based Ijuyama Ajiyama, who's a multi-award-winning entrepreneur and Power Woman Champion for Change, Yali Fellow and consultant. And last but definitely not least, welcome to India-based Akash Sada, who's an Indo-European wellness entrepreneur. Now, I know you want to learn from the best, and they're here to help today, so let me ask them to go ahead and introduce themselves to you. Chloe, do you want to go for it first?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Chloe Mustagi, and I'm a globally focused social and organizational change maker. My background is in AI, technology, education, policy, and international relief for nonprofit and for-profit organizations. My experience is thought leadership, consulting, research, strategy, marketing, funding, and impact investing. In my free time, I run an integrated digital media nonprofit called Drop Labels. You can also visit the site at droplabels.org. It works with tackling stereotypes and labeling through storytelling. As well as in my spare time, I tend to volunteer and travel the world.
Welcome, Chloe. Very excited to have you join us. Eduardo, please say hi to everyone.
Yes, hi, I'm Eduardo Jackson. I'm the CEO, founder, and creator of the Cinema Draft game. It's like a fancy sports style social game for the movies. So instead of picking athletes from teams, you're picking actors from movies, and how the movies perform at the North American box office will earn you points to win free cash prizes. It's kind of like the DraftKings of Hollywood. We're out here in the blazing desert, so apologies if you hear my fan going on in the background at all. And I am here to talk about the startup challenge in raising funds outside of Silicon Valley when you don't have very many Silicon Valley connections, and also possibly crowdfunding and the rise of ICOs and cryptocurrency.
Very excited to have you join us, Eduardo. And I can say, having recently been in Las Vegas, when Eduardo says it's hot out there, it is seriously hot. Harshit, please say hi to everybody from India.
Hello everyone, Harshit this side from New Delhi, India, based in Asia. I'm an engineer by education and social entrepreneur by choice. I just completed my graduation in engineering. I have a social initiative of mine called Womenite, where we work to create an equal society through education, love, and empowerment. We are basically conducting workshops in schools and colleges on issues like child sexual abuse, gender equality, and menstrual hygiene. I'm the runners-up for Queen's Young Leader Award, chosen by Her Highness Queen Elizabeth II. And based on our work and impressed by our work we are doing, I was recently invited at UN Women's headquarters in New York. Yeah.
Welcome, Harshit, and we're very excited to have you join us, given the fact that we are a tribe of empowered women. So thank you for joining us. Ajay, please say hi from Nigeria.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ijoma Obiajuma Ajama. I am a fellow of the Young African Leaders Initiative. I am a physiotherapist by profession, but I am a social entrepreneur by calling. Presently, I operate a sustainable social enterprise label that incorporates other NGOs and civil society organizations into a partnership for the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Very excited to have you join us. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs around the globe know you as one of the founders of many of our WhatsApp groups. So welcome, Ajay. Pradeep, please say hi to everyone.
Hi, everyone. This is Pradeep Mukherjee this side. Regarding my background, I have done my graduate education in nuclear physics, followed by my graduate education in computer science, and I have also done a MBA in marketing and financial management.
Thank you, Pradeep. Very excited to have you join us. Looking forward to hearing more from you today. Akash, please say hi to everybody.
Hi to everyone. Actually, I'm Akash from India. I have completed my aeronautical engineering and I have started a Spirulina Industry founder and CEO. It's a Europe-Indian company. My investor is from Finland. Spirulina is algae. It is used for food and medicine. Actually, now I'm doing research on adding spirulina in foods like chocolate, biscuit, and bread. And I wish to sell it in Europe. My market is Europe and US.
Thank you, Akash. And I hope our community today sees that our entrepreneurs are joining us today, and impact investing in the emerging markets and social entrepreneurship are a huge trend globally and a very exciting trend for many investors. So we look forward to hearing from our entrepreneurs today. Just before we jump into our questions, a few shout outs. On the screen are contact details for our VIP guests. Feel free to reach out to them. I know they'd love to hear from you. Feel free to keep sending your questions through to inspire me at onlinefiresidechat.com, and we'll do our very best to include them. Given how many of you are joining us today, we have community champions managing the chat room. So if you have a question for one of our VIPs, feel free to post it, or you can email it and we'll make sure it gets answered. Just a reminder, we have community champions and ever-growing meetup groups in over 80 cities in 55 countries around the globe, including in North and South America, the UK, Europe, Africa, the Middle East, India, Asia, and Australia. If you'd like to meet one of your local chapter chairs, or you'd like to start your own, feel free to reach out to us via email and we'll put you in contact. On that note, thank you to all our champions for all you do for us from around the globe. You are the heart and soul of our community, and we definitely wouldn't be here today without you. Over the next few months, with all your help, we'll be sharing with inspiring entrepreneurs across more than 100 countries. We know that together with all your help, we can make this happen. Thanks again to all our VIP guests for joining us today, and thank you for being so willing to share your knowledge and wisdom with all of us as entrepreneurs around the globe. Thank you to our growing family of supporters and collaborators from around the developing world, once again hosting sessions for hundreds of entrepreneurs who don't have access to the necessary bandwidth or understanding of the English language to join our sessions on their own. Thank you to all the presidents, ministers, ambassadors, government ministries, UN offices, US Embassy corners, British Council offices, university campuses, schools, business incubators, Chamber of Commerce's, community radio centers, community radio stations, for all your weekly hosting support and for raising awareness within your regions and communities. Thank you to everyone from our UN Women team for all your support as well. We're once again streaming across new live platforms today. On that note, we have some very exciting news, and it's coming closer and closer to revealing it to you, so stay tuned. If you want to interact with more of our entrepreneurs, make sure to keep telling everyone about our Global Fireside Chat community. Now you all want to learn from the best, and some of our best entrepreneurs in our ecosystem are here to teach you today. So our subject is impact investing. Is it changing the landscape for social entrepreneurs? Our entrepreneurs share their views. So Chloe, sorry to do this to you, but you're the first one to start answering the questions today. So here goes. Chloe, what were some of your motivations for starting your business?
I think what it was is just at the end of the day is that life is very short, and I want to do whatever I can to give back and to make the world a better place. And I know that sounds very corny in many ways, but honestly, I think that is the way that we also are shifting altogether worldwide. You're seeing more and more people trying to do whatever they can to roll up their sleeves to give back to the community. And there's new models of doing such a way, and that could be through the private sector. So that's what got me involved, was that I want to give back.
Thank you, Chloe. Off to a very inspiring start today. And Akas, we'd love to hear your thoughts in terms of why you started the business that you did. It's very interesting.
Actually, I have completed my aeronautical engineering. This algae industry is completely different from my studies. I just read about the algae and I thought of starting the industry. My aim is to solve the malnutrition problem in India and Africa. And also I'm just interested to do something new to the country, so new to the world. So I have started this algae industry and I am going to export it to the Europe countries. And in future, I am going to make some food based on algae and like to sell it in France, Germany and other countries.
Thank you, Akas. And this next question is for you, Eduardo. Based on what Chloe and Akas were saying, do you believe we're a new generation of entrepreneurs as far as making or creating a social impact as well as trying to earn a living?
Well, we definitely have more tools at our disposal. There's just the rise of social media, and basically technology has made it a lot easier to try to not only reach the markets you're trying to reach, but also to have an impact using social media to advance causes or issues or companies that you're interested in. Just I recently, I feel embarrassed to have just taken so long to recognize this, but recently, like, LinkedIn has been like a really valuable tool. I believe it's how I met you, Alysia. I was reaching out to via LinkedIn, and things of that nature, like professional social media tools as well as general social media tools like Twitter and what have you have been really impactful as far as being able to reach audiences as well as investors.
Thank you, Eduardo. Ajiama, you've had a very interesting journey and you are very involved in UN work, YALI across the African continent. Do you believe that we're a new generation of entrepreneurs?
Yes, I believe we're a new generation of entrepreneurs because we are not just after chasing money. We're after impact. We want to touch lives. We want to change our communities. We want Africa to be at par with other parts of the world. And we are the ones who have decided to take it upon ourselves to do the best that we can by teaching, by advocacy, by making sure that people around us know what they should know and what they shouldn't know, to do what they should do and what they shouldn't do. By doing that, we are being different, we are being unique, we are setting ourselves apart to the challenges ahead.
Beautifully said, Ajay. Very inspiring words. Pradeep, the next question goes to you, and we're off to a very exciting start here today. Do you believe that you've come from a funding background? You've got a very strong background in terms of raising funding in there. Do you believe anyone can start a business and actually make it sustainable, whether it's for profit or not for profit?
Alysia, I feel the entrepreneur should be extremely passionate about the idea for launching a startup. It should be, the passion should be same as the passion for the life partner in actual day-to-day life. This is very important. Second, the entrepreneur should not look forward to funding in the first 12 months. They should be self-funded and they should follow your bootstrapping. It's important to mobilize the capital on your own to support the business for at least 1 year. By then, the business will generate enough cash to sustain the operations and grow. Let investors be attracted to the business by the demonstrated traction and not by the idea and the minimum viable product.
Thank you, Pradeep. And I know Ajiyama's got some insights she wants to share there. Ajiyama, please let us hear what you have to say on this topic.
Yes, what I would like to say is nowadays we are advising young people to open up social enterprises. That life is not just about chasing money, but we should also make changes. We should make impact. when you have a social enterprise of something that you are passionate about, you can use it to make money. You can also use it to make impact. That is what we are advising people to do nowadays. Don't just chase money. Also put it in such a way that you can make changes in your community, in your environment, using that same thing you're passionate about to achieve the two goals together.
Thank you, Ajiyama. Chloe, you're in the home of venture capital. What do you think about what your co-panelists are saying?
I would agree on the whole self-funding for the first 12 months. That was a very good point. There's been many times where someone contacts me saying they want to make a startup and they want to approach the VCs immediately. But the thing is that you also need to show that you have potential, that your product or your idea has potential and you see some sort of return. Because I find that more and more VCs are starting to look, and especially angel investors as well, they're more curious to see if there is a return on your own at first before providing any funds up front. But it also takes dedicated passion as well. So sometimes I tell people that if they want to do their own company, but they can't afford it at that moment in their time, then the best point of doing it is, when you're working full time, to start building the idea. Start doing it on your own, start finding a co-founder. I think it's also important to find a co-founder, because I find the most successful startups happen to have two people instead of just one, because it's a lot of weight, a lot of work, multiple hats being worn. So having two co-founders is very helpful because you can actually grow a lot faster because you're both taking all the roles at the same time, but you're also splitting it. So yeah.
Awesome insights being shared today. We're really off to a brilliant start. Eduardo, what's your perspective in terms of what you've seen? I know you're very passionate about crowdfunding as well. How do you believe we can make these enterprises more financially sustainable from the get-go, give these entrepreneurs a fighting chance?
Well, I do think crowdfunding has, it's fairly a new legal space. It's only been legally around for a year in the United States, and there's a lot of regulations behind it to make sure that everyone's protected. Crowdfunding as an idea has been around for a while. It's kind of what Kickstarter has been. Only now with equity crowdfunding, you can have people buying into having a share or a piece of your company, as well as or instead of just having buying into an idea or a product. And yeah, it's very interesting hearing the remarks about how you should self-fund for the first 12 months, be bootstrapped, and I guess have the friends and family round first, what have you. I guess that's inadvertently been my experience. I mean, we've only been out for our seed round for about a month or so, but but we did have to self-fund and find innovative ways using credit and capital, whatever, to get to where we've been. So it's interesting to see that is more the norm than the exception these days. And I'm very interested in hearing, Chloe's Silicon Valley-based thoughts, because outside Silicon Valley, if you don't have like the right networks and you're not like in the mix actively, it can be a bit of a challenge to try to raise funds.
Thank you, Eduardo. And I think we're going to keep asking Chloe where we should be looking for impact investor funding as well. So Chloe, just be on the lookout. We're coming to ask you lots of questions today.
Wonderful.
So Harshit, we have a question for you. You have a very interesting journey as far as being a social entrepreneur goes. I know, having interacted with you, it comes from a place of great passion. How did you make what you are doing financially sustainable? And we'd love for you to share a bit about what you're up to with our community and how you actually raised funding to do it.
Sure. So basically, I started with Womenite when I was in my second year of college, and it's been more than 2 years now. And I think we have been bootstrapping, for the past 2 years, and as it is the trend of investment, especially in India. So investors, they are just keen on the ROI, what's the rate, what they are getting in terms of what they will be investing. So we have been bootstrapping, and we have done few fundraising campaigns in the past. by making products. So since our domain is related to women empowerment, so we helped some of the women's be financially more sustainable. And so and regarding the crowdfunding platform that Edward has mentioned, so I think it's booming in India, and there are a lot of crowdfunding platforms that are gaining a good momentum, where people, they can post about what exactly their requirement is, and especially in the social sector. So if they want some kind of help in building a kind of library, etc., I think they are using the crowdfunding platform as a good tool. And as I mentioned, for ourselves, we have been bootstrapping, and we did few fundraising campaigns in the past to make our organization sustainable. And what I feel related to entrepreneurship is that, especially related to social entrepreneurship, that sustainability is not just about, being financially sustainable. When it comes to the impact has to be sustainable. And I think that is what we are focusing on right now.
Thank you, Harshit. And even early on in this part of our conversation, Chloe, we would love for you to just give us an overview in terms of ROI, whether it's a corporate sponsor sponsoring, a social entrepreneurship program versus even an investor, because I think this terminology might be new to some of our entrepreneurs, and we'd love for you to kind of just explain it in as short and sweet a point as way as possible for everyone to be on the same page.
Yeah, so I would say that definitely in impact investing, like the biggest concern is your proposition for impact investing. It ends up being more about potential financial returns on capital than about why the capital is being invested in the first place. And I definitely have seen that, where you see investors, they want to know everything at the very early stages. And what happens is they don't feel as comfortable taking risk. They want to make sure that they see return. And this is like, or ROI. They want to see return on their investment. And what the problem is with this type of mentality is that we need to shift it. For example, the UN and UNICEF, what they do is they first look at the development impact of the project. So if they're looking into a project to invest in, that's one of the things that they look at. They look at the impact, and if it meets the UN Millennium Development Goals. And then based on the goals, then they look at the financials, which I feel like that's the model that we should all be incorporating when we're looking at impact investing, because we're first, we have to first look at the cause target. What is it going to do? How many people is it going to affect? Or how's the environment going to be impacted in a positive way? And then from there, breaking it down on the financials. I think that's the way we need to start looking at, and this is also one of the things that investors also need to start feeling more comfortable about with taking greater risks.
Very well said. Thank you, Chloe. Now, Pradeep, I know you come from a traditional funding background. What are your thoughts in terms of the changes taking place globally with regard to the style of investing that investors are pursuing?
Yeah, I have been toying with crowd investing for quite some time. I have seen both the crowd investment platform Indigo as well as the Kickstarter, and I have seen projects which are technical, purely your engineering based. Those are funded. For social enterprise and all that, if there is an immediate catastrophe, then there is an impact. And then if somebody wants to raise money on the crowd funding platform, then it's possible. But if it's a pure business project, then there has to be good deliverable when the particular person invests into the platform. So otherwise, I have seen the crowdfunding campaigns, they fall through.
Thank you, Pradeep. Now, Akash, you've had a very interesting journey. For a lot of people around the world, your business is quite unique. It's also showing how healthy the world is becoming in terms of living a healthier lifestyle. And how did you pitch your business to investors? I know that you got your investor in Finland through LinkedIn, as you told me. How did you pitch your business to get the funding that you got?
Actually, I don't know where to get the fund. First, I thought of getting a fund from a bank loan like that. Then I thought, why can't we search for investors? Then in LinkedIn, actually I sent message to around 3,000 investors. In the 3,000 investor, only 10 accepted my proposal, and then we have went for 6 months talk. Like they asked about me and about my background and all the details about the project, and after that only the Finland investor have accepted to invest in it. But now it is easy to get the invest for my second project. I am started searching in LinkedIn for another investor for my new food industry. It will be easy because I already have a one industry, so it is easy to tell them that I'm good in producing the products and selling, marketing, etc.
Brilliant insights, Akas. And I'm sorry, I'm going to throw another question at you, but you've raised some very important points. In terms of pitching to your first set of investors, and you said you contacted 3,000 people on LinkedIn, what did you learn through that experience that you could share with our community that doing it the second time around, you wouldn't make the same mistakes? Could you please share with us?
Yeah, it's like some will like the conversation, some will like the traditional conversation. So there is we need to do some traditional professional messages to them. Then we need to show them our business plans and our ideas. First we need to bring the trust on us that he can do that, he is capable, like that. We need to bring the trust on them. So actually I have already made an industry, so it is easy to bring the trust on them. And in India, my article have come in some big magazines like Your Story, etc. So it is easy to show them that I'm doing good and my product is really good.
Well done, Akas. Well done. It shows immense tenacity on your part that you contacted so many people and just kept on going. Chloe, we would love to hear your insights in terms of this, because I'm sure you had experience in this regard too with the entrepreneurs you work with. Any thoughts in terms of our entrepreneurs pitching to investors to raise funding for their social enterprises or their unusual socially focused enterprises?
Unfortunately, I was actually cut out for a bit. I had a low signal, so I didn't get to hear his response.
Not a problem, Chloe. Akas was basically saying to us that he contacted, as you know, 3,000 investors, for all intents and purposes, cold calling them. And 10 came back, and he got one investor from Finland. And it showed, from our perspective, I would say as entrepreneurs, immense tenacity on his part and perseverance. You work with a lot of entrepreneurs from around the globe. Do you have any insights in terms of the route that he took that you could share with our community in terms of if they're going to investors? A lot of our entrepreneurs have never pitched to investors before, but there are social entrepreneurs. Any thoughts you could share in terms of helping them succeed at this? Because I know it can be very debilitating.
Oh, yes, it definitely is. There's definitely tenacity on that, the 3,000 cold calling. I would say that the thing is, a lot of investors, they're hearing pitches all the time. Like, people will be in an elevator and they recognize them and they pitch to them. I've even heard of an investor who got pitched in the bathroom. So, I mean, they're constantly being pitched at all times. So you need to stand out in front of them. One of the best ways I would say is definitely LinkedIn, especially if you're not in the Silicon Valley area. LinkedIn with someone, send a private message saying like they've read some article that they were in, or they read a book that they did, or they've heard them speak before on a webinar. And then what they do is they send a message saying, do you have 10 minutes or 15 minutes? I do have questions in the following fields and all that. Get to know the person first. Get to know whether or not this is a person that you should connect with, if they would be probably a good match to help you with funding as well. So you kind of get a good feel out of it first. I recommend that. Also, networking. Networking is going to be your number one. You don't know who's going to lead you to your investor. So that means always make sure that you're kind and respectful to everyone that you meet, because it could be a very small world sometimes. So going out there, going to networking events with other entrepreneurs. Also, I know in Silicon Valley we do have all these venture capitalist kind of meetings as well, like on Meetup, where people come that are entrepreneurs or kind of considering whether or not to do something. And they go and they attend these events. Also, we have Shark Tank, which people present in front of VCs. I know in some other big cities, they also as well, like in Shanghai and Hong Kong and London and Paris. And also I've heard that Mumbai also has some as well. So that would be my biggest tips in getting the VCs. And also, if you're going to give a business plan, make sure you put the financials on the first page. Just put it on top with an abstract, because they're seeing many like 8 to 25 pages or sometimes even longer business plans. So having the shorter summary and also having the whole financial part in the front, that seems to be the fastest way for them to acknowledge you and also to give you feedback.
Thank you, Chloe. Eduardo, in terms of what Chloe was saying, did you pursue this route? Did it work for you? What was your experience in terms of pitching investors? I know, as I say, you're a huge proponent for crowdfunding. Did you have a bad experience with investors that you decided to go this route? Please share.
Well, no, I do. Well, what Chloe said was actually really, really instructive and helpful. Like I was just typing notes, like, okay, put the financials up front. That's actually really helpful. Thank you. And like I think it's Akas, how he said he contacted 3,000 people through LinkedIn. I mean, I definitely admire his hustle. I guess I'm just getting started. I've only contacted about 1,000, so I've got to catch up. But that's good though. It shows that I'm on the right path as far as you're reaching out via LinkedIn. And as far as networking goes and everything, I've been to at least, I think I've been to one startup festival. It was over in Santa Monica through a group called Expert Dojo, and that was interesting. It was like it was about maybe 200 to 300 startup founders. We each had like a minute pitch, and and while I did get some I guess for lack of a better term, callbacks, like to say in the industry, it really didn't. To me, it felt very kind of superficial. They were like Chloe said, they're hearing pitches all the time, and I can only imagine how often they get pitched and what have you. So it is kind of hard to stand out that way. I feel like I've had more success going the LinkedIn route in connecting with people, making an initial invitation to connect and then following up, after the invitation to connect with, the pitch deck and an invitation to discuss further. That to me has been the most successful as far as networking goes. And I'm not looking at crowdfunding as instead of, it's more of as an addition to. At the very worst, it's a marketing play for my company. Maybe we can get some additional players and some notoriety by using this somewhat new method of investing. So I'm open to all good ideas, and I really appreciate Chloe's insider insight, and I'm definitely going to be taking some of her suggestions to heart.
Thank you, Eduardo. Now, Ajiyama, I know you're extremely good at raising funding from organizations such as government organizations and foundations and that. Could you share with us how you have been so successful in terms of getting this right? Because I think it can be very challenging for many entrepreneurs.
Well, when I started initially, I just left school, I just finished internship, and I was practicing with a private company. And I was just fortunate that some circumstances just made one of our clients to decide to open a clinic for me. And that was how I started my professional clinic where I work now. And then talking about the social enterprise that I'm passionate about, what I do is the money I generate from my hustle, I use it to fund the social enterprise, because I have come to find out that somehow it's not easy raising funds from funders, especially when it has to do with the social enterprise or an impact. When it has to be an investment for impact. Some of them think it's not measurable, or they want their money fast, and they wouldn't want their money to go there. But somehow we have been so lucky. God has been faithful that we have been getting from our business, and we have been investing into the social enterprise. And that's how I've been running for now, because I know it's difficult. responding from here.
Thank you, Ajliyama and Harshit. Again, you collaborate with some big organizations. How have you actually successfully made your enterprise financially sustainable? How did you pitch your concept to them? Do they pay you a sponsorship fee? Or have you been pitching to investors? Please share with us how you've gone about this and made it so successful.
Sure. So as Chloe has mentioned, networking is the biggest thing in today's world. I think whatever success we have achieved today, maybe in terms of getting invitations from UN Women's headquarters or being a part of Queen's Young Leader Award, etc. I think it's all about networking. So I met a person through one of our events in a college, and there he introduced to me what exactly UN Women does, and how we can associate ourselves, align ourselves to the He for She campaign, the gender equality movement of UN Women. And talking about the sustainability, as I mentioned, so we did few fundraising campaigns, and we have done some great events on a good scale with the college students. And it was about pitching to sponsors, telling them what would be the impact of the event that we are doing, and about telling them the kind of audience we are targeting, and that's the right fit for that organization. So I think it's more about convincing, telling about why you are passionate about this cause, and why that other person should be a part of it, and how he can be a part of it. Yeah.
Thank you, Harshit. And what I'm going to ask our VIP guest to do is I'm going to ask Akas to very kindly share with us the pitch that he used to investors. Akas, I'll ask you for that afterwards. Harshit, we'll ask you to share some information with us as well if we can, so we can share it with our community, because the best way to learn is from the best. So on that note, Chloe, talking about a business plan, I know often a business plan is an extremely scary thing for a lot of entrepreneurs to write up, especially when you're just trying to make your venture sustainable, as we're talking about today. What are the most important things that our entrepreneurs need to include in their business plans, given the fact that they do have limited time, they do have limited resources, and often it's very expensive to pay an expert to help consult to make sure that that business plan includes everything it needs to raise funding?
Yeah, great question. So I would say there's three things you want to make sure you include. Financials, because ventures capitalists or angel investors, they want to see return. So financials are the most important thing. That I would say, like, the business plan you could do on your own, okay, completely. However, if you're not good in financials or Excel sheets, hire someone for that. That would be probably the only expense on a business plan, because you're able to research. You should know the ins and outs of your market. So how are you going to market the product? That would be the second thing. How are you going to market this? And that means social media. That means what's going to make you look good, in a sense. Why should they invest in you and not another company that does similar things? Because there's a lot of companies out there that do similar things. The other thing is your competition. So that kind of is back on the other one, which is know your competition, know it in and out. Make sure you have a very solid comparison. That could be a chart, that could be research based. You want to make sure that you show that the following competition they're missing this element, but you are the same on this stuff. It's very often for angel investors and VCs to hear that, oh, there's no one like us out there, or there's no product out there that's like us. And this isn't very true to say. So you want to make sure that you show that, okay, there are some companies that do similar things, but what separates us from them is that we're doing the following other way. So this is really good to know. And also, if you can find out of how much savings that's going to end happening for you in return, and also how much more money you'll be able to make with it, or much more of what goals are you going to be hitting, like your cause target, for example, how much impact's going to be in the population and in the environment. And like I've said before, marketing is very important on this front. Make sure that when you're pitching an idea to someone, make it, if there's another company, for example, that does what you're doing, make sure that you state that, well, yeah, okay, company A is doing similar as what we're doing, but the thing that makes us very different from them is that at the end of the day, we're also giving back. And this is how we're giving back. And when customers know that you're going to give back in that kind of way, when they're deciding between two products, they tend to go more for the feel-good purchase. For example, like coffee. If we see a coffee bag that's organic and fair trade over a coffee bag that doesn't say organic or fair trade, and the price is like a couple dollars more, we might actually go for the one which makes us feel better.
Very well said. Thank you, Chloe. Jay, you collaborate with a lot of our entrepreneurs in Nigeria, across Africa. What are your thoughts in terms of all the fascinating points that Chloe just shared?
Yes, I quite agree with Chloe. If some of us who run social enterprises here in Nigeria and Africa at large can begin to, use those kind of ideas. Let me just give an example now. On a normal day, you sell 5 naira per bottle of kerosene. But when you decide to say, I sell 5 naira per bottle for myself, but for the sake of the society, for the sake of giving back, for the sake of nation building, let me put it at 5 naira 50 kobo. That you are now putting yourself in the place of a social enterprise, not just an everyday entrepreneur. At that point, most people would like to patronize you. And that is what we are trying to advocate for now. That people, everybody, Africa needs all of us. The world needs all of us. It's time to rebuild the broken walls. Now, that business you're doing, that is giving you your daily bread, you can as well use it to reach out to build the nation. But just add a little money and say, okay, this money goes into nation building. Assuming on a good day, I sell for 5 naira per bottle, but I add 50 kobo on it, making 5 naira 50 kobo. Then the 50 kobo on it, I say every 50 kobo from every 5 naira I make would go into community building. If all of us would begin to have that model and work on it, every entrepreneur begins to work on it. Every entrepreneur decides to do social enterprise, and then the community will be a better place because the extra we are putting on it, we will use for social nation building. And I think that is the only way we can achieve the sustainable development goals, because the traditional NGOs alone are no longer getting funding from foreign donors, in quotes. And so how do we build the nation? How do we build our communities? If we can take up this model and advocate it and let people know about it, I believe that if 100 people out of 1,000 in Nigeria, for example, can begin to use that model to build their community, others will be inspired. And by the time you know it, by the next 15 years, it's 2030 of the agenda for the UN. Most of the
Thank you, Jay. Thank you so much. Pradeep, again, coming back to you building a fintech startup. You come from a very traditional funding background. What are your thoughts in terms of what Chloe's been saying, in terms of what Acumen has been saying, that the world is changing, that entrepreneurs need to move a little bit laterally in terms of having a social impact, empowering their communities? Is this a sustainable model over the next 20 years, in your opinion?
So yeah, I will just give an illustration. Social entrepreneurship, the impact investing is very important. As you know, I was reading an article where Warren Buffett had asked Bill Gates that the amount of money he has invested, so what has been the outcome over the last decade? So I was reading that impact analysis, and to put it in one word, your one line, 122 million lives of children below 1 month at birth and below 1 month have been saved during the last couple of years. So that is some sort of impact which a social enterprise should make. So that being the highest point of it, I think any entrepreneur in the social domain should think what impact, tangible impact they are going to make, which will affect the society.
Thank you, Pradeep. And this next question goes to you, Eduardo, because I know this is something you're very passionate about. How do you believe the market for impact investment can be expanded over the next, say, 10 years?
Oh, that's interesting. So, by the definition I've learned today of what impact investment is, I think it'll probably expand with cases, with, I guess, success stories, or success cases, people, around the globe who have received impact investing, who've returned, who've showed a return on investment, which seems to be a very much important from Chloe's side of the world. I think the best example, I guess the best way of expansion will be through example.
Thank you, Eduardo. And I'm going to jump right in and ask you a question. Our community has many WhatsApp groups running around the world. And something I'm noticing that's happening very quickly is the evolution of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And our entrepreneurs are doing some very cool stuff with Bitcoins and cryptocurrencies. And Eduardo, I know you're very passionate about this. What role do you believe they have in terms of the impact investment landscape and the future of our entrepreneurs' businesses?
Well, it's already here, to be honest. I mean, the future is now. If anything, if anything, I only kind of, sad to say, I kind of see it being restricted through regulation in the future. But right now, it's a bit of a wild west, for good and bad, mostly good in my estimation, through the rise of what's called an ICO, an initial coin offering. That's basically like using cryptocurrency as a means of crowdfunding. I mean, so it's basically since the advent of Bitcoin and the blockchain, which not to get too deep or technical on it, but basically it's like a digital currency that's being used around the world. It's been out for about 8 or 9 years now, and off of that, people have like innovated and created their own cryptocurrencies, digital peer-to-peer trustless payment methods and ways to kind of exchange currency around the world, around the globe, to help kind of bring the world a little bit closer together. And using that, using mostly Ethereum, which is kind of like an offshoot of, I wouldn't say it's offshoot Bitcoin, but it's like a reinterpretation of Bitcoin. They've been able to create a bunch of what's called like tokens, their own like bespoke cryptocurrencies, where in as easy as 5 minutes.
We're running out of time. I'm so sorry, we're running out of time. I just wanted to touch on it in terms of the impact investment landscape. I know a lot of our entrepreneurs are actually being paid in Bitcoins around the world. So I definitely think we should be talking about that in another follow-up session. So
and definitely Google ICOs. For entrepreneurs, definitely Google ICOs. You'll get a lot of information on that.
Absolutely perfect. Thank you so much. And I think Pradeep has actually something he wants to add there in terms of the future of Bitcoins and our social entrepreneurs and impact investing. Pradeep, please go ahead.
Yeah, regarding Bitcoin, I just have to say that, what Google has done to the IT dominant world through the last 15 years, Bitcoin is something which will dominate the future next 10 years. So the fintech is going to be the mechanism through which Bitcoin will, I think, affect the financial world. And the global regulators of different countries, they will have to fall in line because it will have a tremendous demand and impact over the financial domain in future.
Thank you, Pradeep, for adding that, because I see more and more of our entrepreneurs are actually building fintech startups. So it's a very exciting space, especially in the emerging markets. And talking about the emerging markets, Chloe, one of the issues we keep having across the globe is the fact that a lot of investors in the developed world perceive impact investing to only be for entrepreneurs in the emerging markets. Do you believe this is the case, or do you believe that this is a trend globally, this idea that there's a role for for impact investing, even in markets such as the US, such as the UK, France, Europe? How do we change this conversation?
Well, I think what is that what is most needed is perceptual change. Like the change in the way investors are looking at this and the way politicians are looking at it and the way that ultimately beneficiaries and customers are looking at it. That perceptual change is happening, which is a very good thing. There's a new mental model of how we want to address different various issues. And it's also moved away from traditional charity-based solutions or government-based solutions to more of a private sector-based solutions. But in order for this to be realized, there clearly needs to be a public sector engagement. So, for example, government being able to provide incentives, tax reductions as well. Also for, working together with charity base to partner with for-profit companies as well on how to reach the goal and how to sponsor in some sort of way. And so I think it's more of getting everyone to, be more open to this idea, and also for investors to be okay with not having everything upfront in the very early stages, but to feel more comfortable about taking a greater risk for the greater good.
Thank you, Chloe. And on that note, we've got a community question, and it goes out to all our panelists, but we're going to quickly direct it at you, Chloe, and then Ajiyama, we'd like your thoughts here too. Chloe, our entrepreneurs want to know, based on your experience, what is the best way if they want to actually work with the government on their social and entrepreneurship initiative? Do you have any experience in this regard that you could share?
Yeah. So I highly recommend, if you want to work with government, first start looking at nonprofits that do somehow work with governments. And because they'll be able to connect you to government officials or whatnot. Especially in the States, if you wanted to do a project in California, reach out to your assembly members or your Senate members to have that kind of conversation with. But if that's not accessible for you, definitely go to different nonprofits. Any nonprofits that are somehow connected to the UN, that's also very beneficial because they also have to work with government. That would be my biggest tip.
Thank you, Chloe. Ajiyama, any advice in terms of successfully working with the government? I hope we never lost Ajiyama. Harshit, any thoughts in terms of successfully working with governments and big nonprofits?
Hello.
Definitely. Okay.
Please go for it, Harshit.
Okay, so as Chloe has also mentioned, we can look out for organizations that have already been working with government. And if I talk about India, I think the government has taken a lot of measures, to boost entrepreneurship and to promote basically entrepreneurship. A lot of funds have been allocated. Government is giving out loans. Various schemes have been rolled out. And talking about connecting to other organizations, I think networking, attending events where we get to network with similar organizations, investors, etc., people, personalities from different backgrounds, that would be the best thing that we can do.
Thank you, Harshit. And I know we're running out of time today. I'm so sorry, everyone. I know we've got a lot of questions coming through for our VIPs. Now, I know you all want to learn from them and take away this knowledge and apply it to your ventures. We're going to ask our VIPs to go ahead and prepare their tweet pieces of advice, and then we're going to come back and ask them to share them with us. In the meantime, thank you to everyone around the globe for this truly amazing session. Just to keep you posted on our upcoming fireside chats with some of the world's best joining us again as VIP panelists. This coming Sunday, we've got a very cool investor session. It's called Building Leaders, an entrepreneur's guide to going from founder to leader, and this is where our investors get to share their experiences and insights. Next Wednesday, we've got Meeting the Challenges of Tomorrow as Entrepreneurs. Where to from here? Definitely 2 sessions you don't want to miss. Remember to keep us up to date on all your progress and exciting news. We love hearing from you, and as you can hear from today, these are our entrepreneurs and they are changing the world. They want to hear from you too. They love inspiring you. They love empowering you. And they want you to succeed. You can find them on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find our champions on LinkedIn. Remember, if you enjoyed today's session, keep sharing the invitations, because We want to reach our 100-country goal. And as entrepreneurs, we can only do that with your help. And as our VIPs told you today, networking is critical. You need your friends all over the globe. Our entrepreneurs are there to help you and support you. So now on that note, we're going to go around and ask each of our VIPs to share their tweet piece of advice, starting with Pradeep. Pradeep, please share your tweet piece of advice with our community.
My Twitter ID is PKM1999. PKM1999.
Oh, thanks, Pradeep. That's a different one. Everybody go figure that one out. Akash, please share your tweet piece of advice.
Actually, my tweet piece of advice is be positive and do what you love.
Very, very good advice. Thank you, Akash. Ajay, please share your tweet piece of advice. We can't find Ajay. I'm sorry, everybody. We will find her again. Chloe, please share your tweet piece of advice.
The impact of the project should always be examined and explored prior to focusing on the financials.
Very, very, very good advice. Harshit, please share your tweet piece of advice.
I feel that, entrepreneurship is about following your passion and helping a billion people.
I love it. Eduardo, please share your tweet piece of advice. Did we lose Eduardo as well? We are having some serious technical difficulties.
Can you hear
we
me?
got you back. Please go.
Sorry.
Eduardo.
Sorry about that. Be prepared to sacrifice everything in order to gain anything. If you believe in what you're doing, trust it'll all pay off in the end.
Beautifully, beautifully, beautifully said. As a true entrepreneur, my tweet piece of advice is that be grateful. You all are incredibly lucky to be entrepreneurs, to be supported by your friends and family. We are living the entrepreneurial dream, and I know it's extremely hard, but you can't give up. And I know, especially for social entrepreneurs, it's incredibly hard. So you just got to keep going, never give up. You have a community that loves and supports you. Now, on that note, we want to say bye. Oh, Ashiyama's back. Ashiyama, share your tweet piece of advice with our community.
Yeah, what I would like to tell them is whatever they do, should be passionate about it. And then wherever you find yourself, be the change you would like to see in your environment. Thank you.
And she believes every word of what you say, because I get to see tweets from her every single day and WhatsApp messages every day. So that advice comes from the heart, everyone. On the count of 3, I'm going to ask our amazing VIPs to shout bye. Everybody, 3, 2, 1, shout bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Don't give up.
You.
Keep hustling.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody. See you on Sunday.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.